Hello and welcome back to another edition of the Hiking Journal. Today I'm wearing a Blackwatch kilt. It's one of the more common kilt patterns or tartan patterns, and it's a universal, so anybody that has any affiliation with Scotland at all can actually wear this, and anybody with military ties can also wear it too, so that's why I'm wearing this one today. But in this episode, Gerry and I are going to take a trip up to Yosemite National Park, and we're going to explore the High Sierra regions near Cathedral Lake. We're going to do a loop hike, so we're going to park one car at the Tuolumne Lake Trailhead and another car up at the Cathedral Lakes Trailhead, and we're going to hike up the Cathedral Lakes Trail, spend one night at the lower Cathedral Lakes, and hike up past the second Cathedral Lake, which is the upper lake, cross the High Sierra camps at sunrise, and then make a turn and head up a little more, and then drop down into the Sunrise Lakes Basin. That's where we're going to spend our second night before hiking out down the Tuolumne Lake Trail back to our parks. In this episode, we have to deal with a lot of different things. We have to deal with the colder temperatures because it's going to be a lot chillier on this adventure because we went in October. It's going to be in the mid-20s to upper 20s at night. That's temperatures we're not used to experiencing on our backpack trips. And we also have to deal with a ton of smoke. The creek fire started on September 4th, kind of near Shaver Lake, and it exploded. And within no time, Yosemite National Park was closed. All the national forests were closed because of poor air quality. And Yosemite was closed and ruined our earlier permits we had for September. So we had to reboot everything. I got lucky enough to draw some wilderness permits for the first week of October. And so that was our plan.
Well, Yosemite National Park is closed to visitors. This is a look at the park today from the Yosemite Conservancy sky cams. You can see the thick, smoky air. Park officials closed all entrances at 5 o'clock today, just minutes ago. It's due to significant smoke impacts and hazardous air quality. They say Yosemite will reopen to visitors when conditions improve and it is safe for visitors and employees to return.
The smoke was so bad, just driving into Yosemite, you could hardly see more than a quarter mile. It was so bad I had to roll the windows up and turn the air on because even though it was only 8 in the morning when I got there and it was chilly, I had to turn the air on because I couldn't breathe. Well, if you wondered how bad the smoke was here in Yosemite, I'm driving in toward Yosemite right now. I'm about 30 miles or so from the Yosemite entrance station, and the smoke is really thick here. It's hard to breathe. Even in the car, I had to put the air conditioner on and put on recycled air. So I was a little surprised it was this thick. The sun is over there, if you can see it. Trees are in the way, but we'll get a shot here in a second. We're at 1,000 feet. 1,000 feet here, working our way up to about 4 where Yosemite is. I'm heading to Yosemite Valley, and I'm going to be staying down in the valley at the North Pines campground. It opened up last minute, and this is just a little preemptive car camp before our backpack trip up in Cathedral Lakes. Well, I'm only a few miles from Wawona and the entrance point of Yosemite National Park, and you can see some of the fire damage as we're driving in. It looks pretty sad. Well, here's the view. Window. We're almost to the tunnel view. Can't see squat because of the smoke. I have the window rolled down and it's up. It's pretty bad. I might have to roll it up here. Here's the tunnel. As we're nearing the end of the tunnel. And here's the pullout area. Once we got into Yosemite Valley, the smoke was so bad you couldn't even see El Capitan from the access road in the valley. Half Dome was just a blur off in the fog in the distance. And the whole time we were down there, it was like you were walking around inside an Indian casino trying to breathe. I mean, it was just, the smoke was so bad, it was horrible. Our saving grace was once we got up to higher altitude, there was a little more of a breeze. It was a little farther away from the smoke. And it was actually manageable. So it wasn't as bad as I'm making it sound. But still, the pictures aren't quite as clear as you're used to, and it's not quite the Yosemite you've come to know and love. But we still had a good time. It was a short trip. It was only 15 miles, but it was worth it. And we got some good pictures, and hopefully I have some good video I'm going to work on here in a little bit and put together for this next episode of the journal. This will be Gerry and I's trip to Cathedral Lakes in Yosemite National Park. That'll be coming up next. Well, it's only about 2 o'clock or so, and I'm at the North Pines campground, and I tried to take a nap in my little Lino double nest, but I couldn't. I guess I wasn't tired enough. Had a few beers, and it was starting to get a little warm in the sun, so I decided to go take a little walk around the campground, take some pictures of some of the other sites. Found a couple already, and I stumbled upon this trail. It's called the Valley Loop Trail. Don't know where it goes. I'm assuming all the way around the valley. But I came to this kind of a scenic viewpoint right here. Oh, a little squirrel right there. I'm hoping I can find some deer, or maybe even a bear. I don't know. There's a nice little footbridge right there. Let's go check that out. Well, I'm riding my bike through Yosemite National Park on a little downhill stretch, so it's kind of nice. The trail's in excellent shape. It's paved the whole way. You really aren't allowed to go in anything that's not paved. Makes it easy for me. Anyway, it's gorgeous out here. A little smoky, but not too bad. And I'm in the valley, and right now I'm pedaling up toward Mirror Lake, about a mile. If I can keep it steady and straight. And now I'm going to ride over to Curry Village. Maybe I'll stop by the gift shop. Maybe I'll get a slice of pizza and a beer, maybe. Who knows?
Oh yeah, that's not fun.
Well, we have arrived at the Cathedral Lakes Trailhead. We already parked the Jeep over at Tenaya Lake, and we drove the other 7 miles down here to Cathedral Lakes Trailhead, and boy, it is Smoke City right now. We knew it was going to be smoky, but we heard it was kind of clearing up. I'll tell you what, right now in the morning, it's not clear. We had second thoughts whether we were even going to do the trip, but we're going to go ahead and do it. We got a big climb this morning, then after that, thank God it's not that far. It's only a few miles, like 5 miles to the lower Cathedral Lake, and so we're gonna take advantage of that short day today because it's already, pushing 11 by the time we left the campground. Drove all the way around up here, 25 miles an hour. Takes a while. So we can see Cathedral Peak over there. Anyway, we're gonna start our trip here in about 5 minutes and head our way up to the lower Cathedral Lake. Well, good morning. It's about 11:15 in the morning. We're about ready to start on our trail up to Cathedral Lakes. We're going to go to the lower Cathedral Lake today, and it's only 3.5, so it won't be too bad. We do have a pretty steep climb coming up this morning, and down here in Tuolumne Meadows, from all the fires that have been happening, it's pretty smoked out down here. So we're going to be breathing all this ash in probably as we hike up, but at least it's nice and cool this morning. It's probably upper 50s, I imagine. And we don't have that far to go, so it should be a pretty mild day, except for the smoke. So we're going to be spending one night at the lower Cathedral Lake. We're going to go up past the High Sierra camps and work our way over to Sunrise Lake, spend another night, and then work our way back down to Tenaya Lake on the other end. Gerry's Tahoe is parked right here at the Cathedral Lakes Trailhead. Jeep's parked at the other end, so we're going to do a loop. It's only about 15 miles, one of our shorter trips, but I think the altitude, we're going to be at 10.5 at some point during the trail, and the poor air quality is all going to make a difference. So we're going to be sniffing and scratching our eyes, and supposedly in the afternoon the wind picks up and it clears out some of the smoke, and then it lays down a little bit. Hopefully we'll see that today. So anyway, stick around and enjoy our hike up to the Cathedral Lakes area. Well, this is the official beginning of the Cathedral Lakes Trail. It says Lower Cathedral Lake 3.4. That's not bad at all. It talks about having some safe trip. Look out for bears. Don't make shortcuts on the trail. There's another trailhead sign over here. It says Tenaya Lake and May Lake. And there's also another one this direction. It says Tuolumne Meadows 3.8, High Sierra Camp Glen Allen 6.1. We've been to Glen Allen before. And of course there's one more, which is where we're heading right here, Cathedral Lake 3.4, Sunrise Lake, and the rest. So we're going to be heading up that way here in a second. Well, we've been climbing for, I don't know, half hour, maybe. What are we at now? You know?
Not much. We're at 9.
We got to get to what?
96.
That's where we got to get to?
Yep.
So
2.75 to go. 0.75 done.
all right, so we're 3/4 of a mile in. It's been pretty steep though. We've had to stop at every 50 feet or so. Part of it's the altitude, and the other half is it's just steep, and our packs are heavy. So, and we're breathing in a lot of smoke. So, combination of everything makes it rough. Well, we've been hiking for probably about an hour, maybe, and that steep first section was tough. Combination of the altitude, or 9,000 feet, the incline, the heavy pack, and of course all this horrible smoke really makes it rough. We finally hit a little level stretch here and taking advantage of it. This is probably the only place I've been able to actually walk and talk. But a couple of day hikers are up in front of us. That's the way to do it, man. Just do it with 5-pound day pack, a hydration bladder. But this section here is good. Take advantage of this. It's only 3.5 to the lower Cathedral Lake. That's not too bad. So hopefully we'll be there by 2 or 3. We'll have the whole day to explore the lake. Set up a nice leisurely camp. Get acclimated a little bit because, we'll be over 10. So that's kind of rough on first day. Well, we've been climbing for a little while and came across this little flowing creek right here. We didn't think this late in the year there'd be water in it, but there is. We had a nice level stretch a while back, and that's come to an end, so now we got to climb again. We've passed a few hikers coming down, and a couple past us going up, but I don't think they're heading where we're heading. I think they're probably going all the way to Yosemite Valley, or maybe the High Sierra camps. We're not going that far today, but we are going to take advantage of a little shorter jaunt to Cathedral Lake, the lower Cathedral Lake. But in the meantime, we got to climb this mountain to get to it. Well, we're not too far from the junction of the lower Cathedral Lake. It's about 1:15 in the afternoon. And last check of the GPS, it was 3/4 of a mile to the junction and did you say 1.3? 1.3 to the lake, the lower Cathedral Lake. We've been walking for probably, 15, 20 minutes since then. So I wouldn't be surprised to see the junction up here in a couple minutes. And we were going to thinking about stopping for lunch, but only a mile from camp. Probably in an hour or less, we could be sitting in our chairs with our tents up, propping our feet up, with a view of the lake and Cathedral Peak. So I think we're just going to stick it out and do that. The smoke's not getting any better. I can feel it in my lungs. Eyes are a little scratchy. I feel like I've been in an India casino for the last 2 days. But we're getting there. These nice little flat stretches are nice. Well, after all that uphill climbing, now it looks like we're heading a downhill slope as we're working our way toward the Cathedral Lakes Junction, the lower lake. We'll take the downhill. Obviously, it's easier on our lungs. I just hope we don't have to go down this hill just to turn around and go back up the hill on the other end to climb up into the lake basin. Hopefully that's not the case. Sun's kind of trying to come out. We don't know if it's trying to break through the clouds or through the smoke. But either way, it actually feels pretty good. It's 55 according to the thermometer on the back of my backpack. which is about as cool as it's ever been on a hike that we've done in a while. We're not used to going this late in the year. Anyway, so we're working our way down toward the junction. Well, we finally reached the junction where the upper Cathedral Lake Trail and the lower Cathedral Lake Trail split. That's going to be our pathway down there to the right to lower Cathedral Lake. And tomorrow we're going to come back up this, and we're going to be heading up that direction. It says Sunrise High Sierra Camps 4.5, so that's where we're going to be heading tomorrow. But for right now, we only got a half mile to go to get to the lake. It's awesome, and it's downhill. Now we're working our way to the lower Cathedral Lake. Came across this gorgeous meadow. The lake is just on the other side of the rocks right there. And the cathedral spire is right there behind the tree. Well, this is our view from our campsite at the lower Cathedral Lake in Yosemite National Park. I'm not at the right angle to get a really good picture. There's Cathedral Spire right there. We're going to be going tomorrow when we leave here. We're going to be going up and around the upper Cathedral Lake, and we'll get some great shots of that. But tonight we wanted to check out the lower Cathedral Lake because we've never been here before. And the water's like glass. Going to be down here pumping some water here in a little bit. Top off for the day. There's only one other set of backpackers. Everybody else has been day hikers, so it looks like we might have our place almost to ourselves tonight. Well, we finally arrived at the lower Cathedral Lake, and we found a pretty decent campsite here. This is Gerry's site. Gerry's down here by the water. He's filtering some water right now. Give his camp a water supply for tonight. It was not that far mileage-wise, but it was a little harder than we imagined. It was a little steeper than we thought. So Gerry's set up right here. There's a used trail that's actually really close to us, which is right there. But that happens to be where the campsite is. This is my campsite over here. I've got my shirt hanging there because it was all sweaty and it's airing out. I've got my new tent, a new cheap tent. This is a Lanshan 1, 3FUL, I think is what it's called. I bought it on Amazon or something. It was like $110. It's not quite the large format tent that I'm used to. I'm used to my pyramid shelter. It's 9 foot by 9 foot. This is just barely big enough for one person. And what's nice about this one is it's double layer. It's got a bathtub floor, and it also has mesh netting all the way around it. And it's just big enough, barely, for me. So it'll accommodate a person up to about 6 feet. I'm 5'11". We'll see. I've heard some complaints that your head hits the inner mesh or your feet hit the inner mesh. Don't know if that'll be the case. I've got it staked up pretty good, and it's pretty solid. The one knock on this tent, besides the low volume, headroom volume, is the stakes are pretty bad. And I'm going to give them a shot. They're super small, they're super lightweight, and the ground I actually hear is pretty good. So I had to pound them in with some rocks once I got about halfway down on the stakes. So it should be pretty rain worthy. I've got my boots under the vestibule, and the other side I've got open. I'll zip that closed here in a minute. But anyway, the rest of my camp stuff is sitting over here. Got my FlexLight chair. I'll be using that a lot tonight, sitting in it. I got my ULA Catalyst backpack, which I use it on all my trips. It's the largest model that ULA or Ultralight Equipment, Ultralight Adventure uses. So anyway, here comes some people. So I'm going to go ahead and shut down for a second. But well, anyway, to continue with my my little camp setup here, we had some day hikers come by, so I didn't want to be recording while they were talking. Got my Nalgene. I normally don't bring an Nalgene bottle. It's a little heavy. I usually bring smart water bottles, which I did bring one. But it's going to get down into the mid-20s tonight, so the water bottle is going to freeze. And I do have a really nice cozy This meant for the Nalgene bottle, so I'm going to be using that. I got my big bear can over there. I've got some trash sitting beside it that'll obviously go in a Ziploc bag. That'll be inside the bear can when we're done cooking. But got a different cook set and a different cook pot on this adventure. Just trying something a little different. Tonight ought to be a good night. Going to be a cold night. It's going to be in the 20s, they say. So we'll see. So we think we're prepared. I guess we'll find out, come 6 o'clock in the morning. I've got a 32-degree bag and I'm inside a tent, so hopefully that's going to be enough. But there's only one other couple camped on the other end of the lake, and that's it. There's nobody else here, so it is like just deathly quiet. Except for the jet flying over at 30,000 feet, we can hear that. But
put all your layers on if you're...
Yeah, we're going to have to put all of our layers on tonight, and all of our gloves and beanies and everything. We have to get all the way in the mummy bag tonight. There's no draping it over the top tonight. We're going to have to go all the way in.
Probably start out half zipped, I bet.
Yeah.
And may have to add layers later, or light up some more hand warmers and chuck them down.
Yeah, I didn't even bring any, but yeah, it's going to get cold tonight. So anyway, we're going to enjoy this warm sun while it's here. And in a little bit, we're going to head back up into our camp, and we're going to make dinner tonight. What are you eating tonight?
Probably lasagna.
Lasagna? I don't even know what I have.
I don't know. I have two things. I can't remember what the other one.
I have leftover crap from last time, so I do have like a fettuccine Alfredo, but I have to cook it for 7 minutes. But I don't think that's a big deal. So it might make a difference cooked at an altitude too. So anyway, I guess we'll experiment tonight. I got plenty of snacks, so if it tastes bad, I'll just eat snacks. Anyway, we'll check back with you in a little bit. Well, it's about 6:15. It's going to be dark here in a little bit. And, I got all my stuff laid out here, and I'm cooking some of this Northside's teriyaki noodles. It's supposed to cook for 7 minutes. I don't think I'm going to. It looks like I'm already at a rolling boil here. Oh yeah, totally rolling boil. This MSR XGK stove is just a bomb. So I'm going to pour some boiling water in here. I'm going to put this, never tried this before, I'm going to put this in the, this little canvas bag, wax canvas bag here. Hopefully it won't melt the bag. Get my spoon, stir it up a little bit. See how this does. Stove is still sputtering a little bit, but it's gone out for the most part. Gonna get cold tonight. I think that's stirred ample enough. Wish I had like a paper clip or something. I could close this, but you know what I'll do? Maybe I'll put this next to it. That'll keep it from falling over. Meantime, I'll give me something to drink and wait for that to, I don't know, cook or do whatever it does.
All right, tonight is my favorite, and I always do a video usually about this, lasagna with meat sauce. I always say, just buy the Mountain House, don't look at anybody else's. And if you're ever in Azusa, go to Spaghetti Eddie's and ask for the lasagna. Get the mama's cut unless you're freaking hungry. But this is as good as it gets. Oh, hey, this bag's nice and warm. I don't need those hand warmers after all.
Put that in your jacket.
Yeah, I'm gonna put this in my my sleeping bag. Jesus, warm it up. Anyway, 5 minutes, then stir it in 4 minutes, and chow down.
Oh, we're above the lower Cathedral Lake. Cathedral Lake is down below us there. We've got a camp established right at the edge of the lake. But it was getting awful cold in the trees, so we decided to come up here in the evening and catch the last few rays of sunshine before the sun dips behind the mountain to the west. Hopefully we'll get some good views here of Cathedral Spire. Well, we're at the lower Cathedral Lake. We hiked up here today from the Cathedral Lake Trailhead. Cathedral Spire is over there, and the upper Cathedral Lake is over on this side. So we're going to have to go around the lake. The lake is down below me here. Tenaya Lake is over on this side. So it was a pretty good hike today. It was nice and cool. It was like 55 degrees or so on the way up here. And it was mostly in the shade, a little bit of clouds, but a lot of the clouds are actually smoke from the creek fire down by Lake Shaver, and all the smoke is blowing up this direction. So we've been huffing and puffing, and it's almost like you're in a casino all day. You know, your eyes are scratchy and your throat's scratchy. And when we drove in off of Tioga Pass Road, coming in from Crane Flats, and when we got near White Wolf, the smoke was literally right on the road. In fact, there's warning signs telling us that you know, to not stop. All the areas, the pullouts were closed. Olmsted Point was open, which was kind of surprising, but it was really bad smoke and haze. And when we got to Tenaya Lake, which is where we dropped off my Jeep, we really had second thoughts. We were thinking maybe this isn't the time of year to be doing this. Maybe this isn't a year for us. Maybe we'll go down to the valley on the other end, and maybe we'll do a different hike. We'll go to Lake Sabrina. We'll go up to, you know, some other lake and some other rock creek or something. And then we realized that all the national forests are closed as well because of the fire danger. So we decided, well, let's just roll the dice and go for it. And if we get up there and it's too smoky and too bad, we'll just turn around and come back to the car. So, but once we got up here, it's actually cleared up some. It's really hazy off to the sides, but looking over toward Cathedral Spire is not too bad. So it's supposed to get really cold tonight. It's supposed to get down to 24, 25, something like that. So we're a little worried about it, to be honest. We've never been in temperatures that cold. It normally gets in the mid 30s, and we're fine with that. But it's going to be in the mid 20s this time. So we'll see. We got our tent set up, our camp's established. We're kind of in a little bit of a tree protected area. Hopefully the wind won't pick up tonight, and we'll have a nice, good night here at the Lower Cathedral Lake.